Welcome to the Glide Academy podcast. I'm your host, Ez Chandra, and on this episode, we're going to be talking to you about the in-house outsourced marketing manager with Tahnee Sharp.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming and joining us in the studio today. So I'm going to do a quick intro about Tahnee, and then we'll get going with some questions and things like that and have a bit of a chat. So Tahnee Sharp is a managing director of Marketing Room, and which is a national business and provides in-house outsourced marketing managers and marketing consultants that exist to provide clients with the opportunity to grow their business to strategic approach. So you created the Marketing Room to try and fulfill the gap, I guess, between the senior experienced marketing professionals that are lost to the industry due to starting families and things like that, which I think is fantastic.
Yes.
And there basically wasn't enough flexible roles to accommodate the people returning to work. So we see more and more of that nowadays. So the Marketing Room has seen a significant growth over the last 3 years, providing businesses with the value of marketing and business function again, and not just the platform. That's right. Cool.
100%.
Awesome. So, we'll get started to some of the discussion points. So could you tell us, Tahnee, just a little bit about the Marketing Room?
Yeah.
Just maybe a bit of a story about why you started the business. That'd be great. Yep.
Easy. I'll start with the background first. Always been in marketing professional, dabbled in some advertising, dabbled in media, came back, found I just love client side, I love marketing side. Obviously, me and my husband made the decision to have kids. And it was then that as much as I love my kids, there's only so much of Dora and so much of Wiggles that you can handle before you become a little bit brain dead in that regard. And I really found I was missing using my brain, using it for that purpose. And so it was very lucky that my husband was obviously managing and owning his own advertising agency at the time. It gave me the opportunity. We saw multiple clients coming through that didn't have a marketing resource or somebody that was accountable for marketing. So you saw the collide and sort of the bashing of heads between the brief that was coming through to what needed to be produced. It was just talking completely different conversations, and then obviously what the output was, what the results were. People weren't happy because it clearly had that missing link. So for us, it started that we just said to one of the clients, I can just pop in, I can at least get you in line, get everything in order, and then we can move from there. From there, it basically snowballed. So we found there was more and more clients that needed this, that obviously the marketing landscape has changed, that there is a magnitude of platforms now that you can utilize. So for us to come in and actually be accountable and oversee the marketing from a strategic direction could now be done in this part-time role, bringing in the right suppliers and the right people that need to come in. So we worked from there, and that's how the model was born. And again, it's really true to the work-life balance that we want these professionals to actually enjoy what they do, so they do a really good job, but they also get the opportunity to still go to a kids' sports day, pick up their kids if they want to, and have that flexibility that they're not feeling torn, they're not feeling the stress of having to work in a good position, or even take a lower role because it's part-time and it's just mundane. For these professionals that have been CMOs, they've been brand directors, marketing directors, and they're just, you do find majority of the time they actually get turned away for those roles because they're overqualified. People don't want to put them in the role.
Yeah, so going back to, I guess, the why, because I like to talk about that sort of stuff with business owners. And I think you mentioned, from your perspective, you're a mum, or you became, so I guess, going backwards, you started in your career and you were quite full on in your career. You actually enjoyed what you do. You loved it.
Love what I do.
And so you're at the height of it, I guess. And then all of a sudden you have child, you start a family, and that dynamics change.
And
how does that feel? Because a lot of women go through this. My mum went through the same thing as well.
Yeah.
So I know.
Yes. We all go through it. Unfortunately, we're the ones that carry it. It's a very steep learning curve. You're thrown into something that's entirely new, and your day-to-day routine of what you knew from a professional perspective has been thrown out the window.
Yes.
So
And that's really hard to deal with, isn't it? Yeah.
It's very hard. And then to be doing the same old repetitive routines, because as we know, babies and kids are quite dependent on you. You do start to, your brain starts to get a little bit wear and tear, and you think, I need to get back to doing what I was doing. But I think with this way, this was a way for us to sort of try and eliminate the guilt. And it's not so much even for mums. So we obviously have males that are some of our managers. And it's the same thing that we talk about this conversation all the time. A lot of businesses not giving males the opportunity to work more flexibly to allow for a female to come back to work as well. So it is expected that males sit in a role 9 to 5, go and do their job.
Understand.
And the female has to be a bit more flexible. So now we're seeing a lot of males that want that flexibility, so their wife can actually come back into a career as well.
So a bit of a story, just so you know, like, so when we migrated here to Perth, my mum was a single mum, and so she raised 2 boys, me and my brother. But she ran
off to her.
But she ran a business from home. Because she needed the flexibility to look after both the boys and then also, earn an income. But this was back in the 80s, so to speak, you know what I mean? Where
trailblazer.
So, but whereas now I think, you don't need to necessarily go and start your own business.
No.
I guess you're offering the structure, flexibility of work-life balance, which is what a lot of people need nowadays.
I think so, and it's the support, because a lot of people don't want to do it by themselves, but they want the flexibility.
That's right.
So you look at the option to start up a business yourself. It's hard work. It's really hard work. It's not an easy road, but to offer these people that, like we said, they get lost in the professional world, to give them an opportunity to come back in those roles that they were made for. So they know what they're doing.
Tell us a bit more about the structure. Like if I'm in that situation and I come on board, what sort of, with your business model, what's unique about it? What sort of structure do you give them that makes it easy so they don't need to, go and start
their own? Well, obviously
their own business, so to speak.
They come and join our team. So obviously we operate as the marketing room. So they join our team, they work with our clients, they have support around them as well. So even if you've only been out for 6 months or a year after having a baby or having time off, your confidence dips, you've been out for a bit, you're not where you were before. So to have a team of other people that have gone through the exact same scenario, they know exactly how to come in. We all help each other. We all give each other the confidence that they need. It's a very supportive environment.
That's fascinating, because I guess your why is so strong, around, that issue that we just talked about. But at the same time, you're able to build a sort of a mini community of women and men as well around that same, issue. And then actually bring that to a client and solve their problems as well. Sort of into what their issues are as well.
And I think just even the flexibility of what our role offers. So when you eliminate stress, people enjoy what they're doing. So it becomes a happy environment. So they're willing to learn and to be involved in what they need to be in.
So can you tell us a bit more about, like, I guess, the business model in terms of, you work with, you're going into companies and then you're helping them to manage their marketing, but you're also you're placing really highly experienced people in there. Why is that? Why do you go for that sort of model?
We went for this model because, again, we saw there's been obviously the rise of this digital age and digital marketing, and it is thoroughly important. It still is important, but we saw obviously a skew of a lot of businesses just going, we need to be digitally. They invested all their money there. They invested everything there, and then they didn't see the returns. So from our perspective, we look at everything holistically. There is still a massive range of platforms and channels that people can be on, determined by where the business is and what the business objective is and what their business strategy is. So, and that's where we found there was a gap missing between sort of the older baby boomers that are running these businesses to then the newer millennials that are running all these new digital platforms. That they're not understanding it, they're not understanding the usage of it, and they're sort of leaving behind the actual other important elements of marketing that need to be in place to ensure that you're converting, you're optimizing your marketing channels, and you're optimizing everything that you're doing in market. So for us, we found that strategy was getting a little bit lost. And I know we've spoken about this before, and it's one of my big passions, that marketing is a business function. It's not all the fluff that you see and all the exciting bits and pieces. That's the platforms, that's the channels, and that's what we need to be in to go to market if that's applicable to the business. But I think a lot of people really do forget that marketing sits at the business table. We sit there and we have a voice.
You feel like the role of a marketing manager or marketing within a business has lost its definition, so to speak, or it's sort of like seen as more of a creative role versus being a business role?
Yeah, I think they see it, and I mean, we talked before, and we've talked previously that there's businesses that are making a receptionist or an assistant accountable for marketing. They don't have any qualifications, they don't have any experience in it, but they're accountable for the one piece of the business that is actually driving the growth of the business. So we kind of sit there and say, I think they've lost their way a little bit in that regards, that you do need the right people to understand the business conversation, to understand where the marketing comes into play and how that is going to benefit the business. Not just give it to somebody and say, well, we need to be on social media or we need to be doing some SEO, but why do you need to be doing it? So is that actually matching your growth? Have you got divisions of the business? Which division needs to grow to obviously fuel the rest? So I think it's those conversations that are just missing the marketing strategy intelligence at the table.
At the table, where the decision makers are. Based on that, conversation around marketing as a business function, we also look at within the business. You say a lot of companies are hiring people. But with the digital age, there's all these channels and there's all these platforms that have launched, I guess, all within the last 5 years. Well, they've been around for, some of them like Facebook and Google's been around for ages. But I guess it's now people are starting to realize that it's a necessity, right? I guess because people are being hired, they're being asked to do a lot of things and take on a lot of roles. So there's this I see it a lot often in meetings. In meetings and client side and stuff like that, where there is a jack of all trades. There's a person that's managing everything. It's like, we want to help them run their social media campaign or something like that on advertising, but then they're doing the Facebook ads, and then they're also managing the website, or they're writing content, or they're doing the photo shoot. So they're kind of doing everything. So what are your thoughts on that? And especially for these mid-sized businesses that
I think as well, if you're looking for a jack of all trades, you're going to get someone that's a bit junior. They're willing to take on to be a jack of all trades. I think the more experienced people understand these platforms are there, and there's businesses like yourself that are in business because it's a specialty. It's time. If you can say you can do all of the above in your working week and really do it effectively to give everything the correct amount of time, find me the unicorn that can do that.
Or do it properly. Do it really well.
You can do it, but obviously that's going to push out timeframes for you. So it's dependent on how quickly you want to be moving in market. So you may get someone that can do this, but it is going to take time to look at somebody to do that day in, day out. There's a lot. It's a big to-do list if you're looking at somebody to try and do all of that internally.
I mean, even like if I flip it on our aspect, yes, we're not a client, we're an agency. But even as an agency, our business model is more around not finding people that can do lots of different things. We actually try and get them to be specialists in specific areas. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're finding that they're, just having a look at Facebook, for example, there's just such an in-depth amount of data and insights and strategy and marketing and advertising just in that one channel, and it's just too hard to spread that across, trying to manage CRMs and doing email marketing and doing content, and they all need specialized people to run those individual skills. You know what I mean?
I agree. It's working different parts of the brain too, to be jumping in and out. I know, to me, if I'm sitting there and I need to write copy, it's a day that I don't need anything else on my plate. It's using different parts. So to be able to move in and out of those quite quickly, hats off to the people that can do that. But then it takes time to do it correctly, to do it properly.
So I was doing a bit of research and I saw this report from Hayes. It's a 2021 report, and it's because of the push for digital, but basically the marketing expertise that have topped the list of most in demand is expertise in CRM. Loyalty management. You're probably seeing a lot of this now. Loyalty, content, creative and digital. Which one of those do you think is you're sort of hearing a lot of, with
what
your
we
clients?
see a lot of? CRM's a big one. CRM is a big one.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Because it kind of, it sort of raised its head about 5-6 years ago. People were doing it and then I guess it fell by the wayside and it just was forgotten, and now it's coming back in.
And I think it's coming back now. Obviously, there's a lot more in 5 or 6 years. AI has developed, these software platforms have developed. It's become very sophisticated in terms of how it can talk to your target market. I think now the CRM conversation is coming back to the forefront because you would rather have something that's dependable and consistent compared to a human that can potentially stuff up a conversation or a sales lead or not follow up or not actually log sales calls. So it's now becoming that sort of elusive sales representative in some of these businesses that you can trust it's going to do what it needs to do.
I think what you said was right. Like it's that relationship between data and marketing that's got more sophisticated nowadays. So if you look at a CRM, traditionally people were storing data of their customers there, but then using it for email marketing and then using it for sales. Following up leads, all that sort of stuff, nurturing customers. But I think what's happened is the data there's more a requirement of intelligence from that data, and then there's better integrations now with CRM databases and marketing tools. Do you know what I mean? So,
and we're expecting more from it now.
Like
the expectation has come up.
If you say subscribe to Salesforce, you would expect that to plug straight into Google and Facebook and your advertising campaigns. People have that expectation. And I think because of those integrations, that's created a marketing use for databases. You know what I mean? Whereas before it wasn't really like that. So,
they're actually becoming valuable by themselves now. Where before you needed somebody to actually really use a database and a CRM to get out on the phone, make the emails, make the calls, and really utilize the database.
And so companies are not like, oh, it's something that we should have. It's like, when are we going to do this?
It's something that needs to be on the table now. It's going to just be, it's a given. You're going to need to have a sophisticated database sooner or later. So when you do that, it's dependent on all your other activities.
100%. So, one of the topics that we talked about when we caught up was just around the structure, was around like the fixed fee versus per hour model. So, how do you feel like, people that don't really want to, charge or don't like the per hour type strategy when working with agencies? Or
we obviously did the fixed fee model on purpose. We wanted to be as far away from agencies as we could because we're not an agency. We're a very new model to market. So this is now taking that sort of adaptability, flexibility of an agency, but actually then offering client-side strategic marketing at the same time. So but
it's also scalable, isn't it? When you've got a fixed cost for your clients.
I think as well for us having that fixed fee, we're coming in doing the work for the client. So there's no hidden agendas, nothing that we need to add on a per hour that they're going to turn around and lose a bit of trust in us that, oh, that wasn't in the scope of work, or it wasn't outlined in the brief, or we didn't get quoted this, or and then now we're paying per hour for it. So
And
for
there's
us,
a lot of that happens, even the big
it does
agencies
happen.
and big clients as well.
Yeah, it happens. And again, we find that happens. And I spoke to somebody the other day. We find a lot of these disagreements and a lot of conflict happens just through miscommunication.
Yep.
And that's probably either on client side or agency side that the communication is lost. And then hence we've got to charge for hours that have worked.
Yep.
So for us, because we're not an agency, we don't operate like an agency. We are working internally with the client. We join their team. We're part of their business. We want to get their trust as much as we can. So from that point of view, it's a fixed fee. They know every month what their marketing resource is going to cost them. There's no if and or buts. So they can obviously budget for that and then work through what they need to do for the rest of the business in terms of financials.
And also you can plan out the rest of the marketing budget, So
we're the constant.
Because it's fixed. You have a fixed like marketing overhead, I guess, so to speak, that's in house. But then you also have all the media aspect of the marketing budget, and then you've got the different aspects of what the costs are. But at least that bit is consistent. So we've followed a similar model, and I think the digital companies do that as well, where it's almost like subscription based. Because that's where consumers are sort of focused on now. It's like, when you just from basic level, when you subscribe to Netflix or Amazon Prime, it's a fixed cost. And I think that's transitioning into the business world or the corporate world, where they've got all of these overheads, they've got all these expenses, but if they know every month exactly how much they need to allocate, it's not gonna cause any issues. It's not gonna go from $3,000 one month to say 13,000 the next month, and so everyone's sort of jumping around, going, well, how did that happen? At least there's a bit of predictability there. So
100%. And that way, then they at least know that what we're recommending or what we're doing, there's no benefit to us personally. It's all about the benefit to the business.
So in terms of the scalability, how do you feel like that's helping you? Like, I guess you're able to just get more talent and then fulfill more roles within companies, some really high level businesses.
I think we've seen as well, like we said, I think everyone sort of went one way with the digital age that came in, and now we're slowly coming back. We are seeing it is coming back, that businesses are now valuing having that marketing intelligence at the table. So it's coming back. Not probably as quick as we'd all like to see it, but it is coming back. And I think, give it a little bit longer, it will be another prominent role back into businesses. So for us, I think I said to you, I'm very passionate about what marketing actually is. And it's quite funny when I do talk to other suppliers and the amount that say, oh, we use marketing on our website, but we don't do it. And you go, yeah, of course I know you don't. I know that. But again, we're looking at keywords, we're looking at searches, we're looking at what your market knows, and everyone knows marketing, but no one really knows what marketing is.
Well, I think because it's become so fragmented.
It has, because there's so many channels and platforms now. They all just get lumped together. So, and that's for us, like we say, I think there is now, businesses are coming back around to that idea of, we need the marketing voice at the table. We need someone actually guiding this correctly for us, because we can keep spending our dollars, but we're not getting the results.
We've tried all sorts of things.
We've tried, we've tested, and I say unfortunately, but fortunately for us, a lot of our clients have tried and tested. They've tried and tested and tried to do it themselves.
Which is why they're coming back.
And then they end up coming to us to say, we just need the right people to come in and do it and know what they're doing.
And the thing is, like, it really, people are looking for the solution.
Yes.
Because there's, we get a lot of the clients saying, oh, should I use Facebook or should I use LinkedIn? And it's not, yes, there is a solution, but really it comes down to the person. It's a people thing. Like, if you've got the right person giving you the right advice, then...
And that's what we say all the time, that a lot of businesses will obviously come to the supplier and say, what should I be doing? Well, they're going to be biased to what their industry is.
Like an SEO
of course,
agency is going to say,
you need SEO.
You need SEO.
Of course you do.
And it happens all the time.
It does, but of course you would, because you believe in that. Yes. You believe in what you're doing and what your product is and what you need to sell.
Whereas what your team can do is say, look, here's all the things. We've got the database, we've got the SEO, we've got social media. What do we really need right now? Because I'm internal within this organization. What's going to really move the needle, and what's the priority? Let's organize the priorities.
100%. What's going to move the needle and what we need to move the needle on. Because they're close to all the
stakeholders.
Yes.
They can see the perspective, but they can also see from an external perspective how the business is and where it needs to go.
And I think we like to say we sit in the middle. We sit in the middle. We sort of bridge that gap.
That's right.
And even in terms of sort of supplier relationships with clients, it makes it a lot easier if we bring them to you when they're ready for you. You don't have the headaches. You don't have the arguments about, but I thought we would have.
I thought you were going to do this.
And my expectations were here when I really don't have the budget. I don't have my sales team set up, or I've got no funnel on the back end. I've got no CRM system to actually capture what's happening up front. So you've done a bad job.
Yes.
We actually educate when they're ready for this. So, and that's why we kind of say we like to be the middleman, that if they're not right for you at this point in time, it doesn't mean they're not going to come back around. It just, we need to get them there, and we need to educate them to understand what your role is in the marketing function of the business. Then it's a much easier relationship all around for everybody, and you get better results. You then do start to optimize.
So I guess they get into that situation because they hire the wrong person. They hire people that they have an expectation of what they need, and then they don't actually fulfill that expectation. So going back to that, so leading to our next question, which is around the marketing career. So if someone's building their marketing career or starting their marketing career, I guess there's a disparity that marketing covers a lot, like all of these things. But what we're saying is it's very niche, it's very segmented. There's now a technical side of marketing too. There is. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They feel like, it's very creative driven, but we're finding that it's actually getting more technical.
It's becoming a lot more technical. Yes, 100%. And if I was coming out of university today, I'd be sitting there going, where am I meant to go? There's so many roles now that come under marketing, but they are, like you were saying, they're very niche roles. They're technical roles, and you still actually, if you go to university, you still actually get your marketing degree. It's a business degree. So you're still doing business units. You're still looking at economics. You're still doing accounting. You're still looking at strategy. That is still the essence of marketing. But now when you come out, there's so many roles offered to these people that, like we were obviously discussing before, that it then becomes a social media manager, which is quite skewed off from what you just studied. And then you're looking into more technical areas that you can go into, and you sort of sit there and go, where do I go? Because everyone comes out with the same degree. You've got different experience you may have got along the way. Some like to go out and get experience, some don't. But then it is how do you know where you want to go? How do you know what role you want to have
and it's so
in a
different.
company?
Like, I mean, you could have a passion for retail, but then there's also e-commerce.
Yes.
And you could just manage e-commerce websites and projects. You can be like an e-commerce manager, working with social media, working with content, uploading products, all that sort of stuff. But then there's also people that are going into the loyalty space where they're just managing CRMs and email marketing.
They are. They're managing engagement. They're making sure everyone's happy.
That's right.
There's no course for engagement manager.
Exactly. But those skill sets are really high in demand now.
They are.
And then there's obviously advertisers that are really good on specific platforms. There's content specialists, people that are just purely creative. Yes. And they're really good on the camera and the videos and all that sort of stuff, photography. There's just so many different areas. Yeah.
I think it takes people, obviously, if we're generalising, but graduates, it is going to take them that bit longer to actually figure out where they want to be.
And what advice would you give to a graduate? Like, say if you're a graduate, you're coming from uni.
Good luck. A. B.
You guys are graduates now.
Good luck to you. B, if I could give advice, I would definitely say get out and talk to as many people as you can in all these different roles. Definitely try and get a role that you can start out in, that you get exposed, and try and get under somebody who is experienced.
Yes.
Don't try and take the role and try and tackle it yourself and think you can do it.
I see that so much.
We see it a lot.
Where young people are starting businesses.
Yes.
And managing businesses, accounts and things like that, but they haven't actually gone into an agency or gone into a client.
No, and that's
gained
one
the
of
experience from someone senior.
One of our biggest bugbears that our clients come to us with, that they hate dealing with juniors because they turn over really quickly, or the experience isn't there, so they do want somebody senior to talk to. And look, hats off to these younger generations that do want to come through and start a business straight away. I think it's great. I think I love that you have that enthusiasm, and I think I love that you want to take on that drive. Sort of be driven to have your own business and actually give back in the marketplace from your business. However, take the time to learn and understand.
Well, I think that's coming from this era of people wanting flexibility.
Yeah.
So, wanting to do 3 days or 4 days, but then doing other projects on the side. They're not really totally wanting to commit an organisation. Yeah. So I understand where that's coming from. It's good. It's good to see. But I agree with you. I think if you're sort of going into leaving university or leaving education sector and going into a career-focused, market, then you probably want to speak to as many people as possible, but work under a senior person that you can connect with and that you really want to learn more.
I think as well, and if you're coming obviously from a marketing perspective, go client side, go agency side. You need to understand both sides, and you're going to get a really good understanding and knowledge of business client side, but then you're going to understand how to be adaptable and flexible and think on your feet on an agency side.
That's actually a really good point.
If you obviously for us for our roles, that's the type of people we need.
Well, I guess from agency side, the learning curve is quite exponential.
It's very, very, very steep.
Because you have to look after a lot of different businesses, but then at the same time you have to learn. You have to be good on the tools.
You do,
and you have to deliver results and stuff.
Yes.
Whereas with client side, what are the key things what are the key learning points you think it's?
Like I said, being client side, it's business.
Yes.
It's a business perspective.
Yes.
You get in those conversations. You actually understand why they're making you push the marketing in this direction, because there's a reason. There's a reason why businesses have their strategies. They're underpinning everything is obviously growth, whether that is growth in dollars, whether it's growth in brand awareness, whether it's growth in engagement. We're aiming to grow. Businesses need to grow. They need to stay relevant. They need to be moving. So for you to be immersed in those conversations, it is so incredibly helpful for you to understand why businesses are doing what they're doing and how marketing is then going to play parallel alongside the strategies.
Yeah.
Because you need to understand where the business is going. You need to understand why. You need to understand their financial targets. You need to understand staffing issues. You need to understand all those things to know how much you need to push marketing or pull it back, and what channels need to be the priority.
Because, from an agency perspective, it's always we've got the best solution.
Yeah.
This is what you need to be doing. And then from the client side, it's that's true. But then, I've got this budget and there's other things involved. There's other partners and managers and stakeholders. And so and then there's the brand and all these sort of things, that you have to sort of take into account.
Yeah.
So it is good to have both perspectives.
And I think coming as a marketing professional, you need to know how to talk to everyone else in the business. You need to know how to talk to accounts. You need to know how to talk to finance. You need to know how to get a bit more budget and how you can squeeze a bit more.
That's true.
And obviously put your case on the table of why you need more dollars for what you want to achieve for the business perspective. So you need to have those conversations. You need to learn those conversations. You need to learn the different personalities that come in those other seats at the table, because they are very different to where the marketing is. So I think it's very invaluable for you to actually get involved in that from a corporate perspective, but then you also need to flip onto the other side and really understand the agency and the stress
tools
of an agency, the tools of an agency, thinking quick on your feet. You do long hours in an agency compared to the corporate world. You might put in a bit extra in corporate if you want to, but agency, it's expected. You work to get your deadline done, and you're working with a different set of people too. You're working with creatives. Talking to creators is very different to talking to corporates. So I think the more you can be exposed to all of that, the greater chance you've got of actually really understanding and being able to be in the middle and pull everyone together from a marketing perspective.
That's fantastic. I really love that. So going on to a final point, which was around like the future and future plans and things like that. So TMR, that's the short form
We
for
like
business.
TMR, yes.
So you're looking at national expansion on the horizon, and different industries, different sectors, would you say? Yeah.
We're not really capped to industry. Again, like we say, we have people that have a wide range of experience in all industries that come to us, and we try and match up what's relevant to clients and obviously industry that they've been in. However, again, at the end of the day, it's still, you need to go into a business, you need to learn the business. So if we know what we're doing from a marketing perspective, we can learn the business and we can come in and move that. So for us, obviously looking nationally, it's already happened, which is wonderful. We're getting pulled over there, which is really nice, and it's really exciting. Cool. And we've got our first group of national clients. Awesome. So it's really nice. It's nice to have these opportunities for growth in the market that we're currently in, and I think people are understanding that you can utilize this outsource model to get where you need to get to.
And can you tell us about social? Because I think, is that something you're allowed to
I
talk
can
about?
now. I can. When we first talked, it was still a bit under wraps. We've launched, pretty much by the time this airs, we would have launched the Social Room as well, which is just our sister company. So it's the same principles as what we operate the marketing room under, but again, it's changing rapidly. And if you are engaging in social media, well, you need to make sure it's actually going to be a viable channel for you.
Yeah, because that's a big business objective, as well, is just social media, like just solving that problem for people. It's like, which channels do we...
It's channels, but it's actually then doing the right content. And we look through social media and
no one has the time internally, right, to do it.
No one's got the time internally to do it. So why not bring someone in part-time internally to do it for you? And we see now with all these changes, obviously Instagram's going more to a video platform. Yes, images are still there, but I think they've done it to even bring a bit more of those human emotions and the just humanizing your feed that bit more, that everyone can do a stock image. Everyone can tag in someone else's image and have a lovely feed. But where's your value? What are you adding? What's your channel actually doing? How are you going to be converting here? And obviously, if it's now video, who have you got internally that can actually do a good video and that can edit it correctly and make sure it goes up properly, make sure your frame is actually working, make sure that it's designed for your correct channel. So I use Instagram as an example, but it will obviously go through Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. There's all these social channels, and if you're going to be on it, do it properly.
And you've got a fixed fee structure for that too.
Same. It's fixed fee. You're getting the best people in social to actually come in and do this for you. And I find our model allows that we get the best people because they enjoy the flexibility. They love the variety. They love being able to work their own time. So to give them the opportunity to still be doing very senior work, good work, but flexibly, it just seems like a nice recipe at the moment to get the best people to do it.
No, fantastic. Oh, well, thanks, Tahnee. That's the end of the show, and that's all the questions. Thank you so much. I hope you had some fun anyway.
I did. Thank you for having me.
Cool. No, thanks for coming. Please subscribe on YouTube and follow us. Thanks for watching, and bye to everyone.